What's up, guys? I'm back for Inside Wrestling Truth. Tonight we're gonna have a little fun. We're gonna do my top 50 wrestlers of all time. Now, many of y'all have probably seen this before. Countdown is horrible. I'm gonna give you my countdown, and believe you me, Shawn Michaels is not number one. All right, let's break it down. Number 50, I have Dory Funk Jr. is number 50. Anybody that knows anything about the Funks knows who Dory Funk is. If you're from Texas, you know how great Dory Funk was. Brother Terry Funk wrestled in the WWE with the Funks. I feel he definitely needs to be on this top 50 list. Then at number 49, I have the Junkyard Dog, JYD. Rest in peace. Many of y'all know about JYD. He was in the WrestleManias. He's really paved the ways for guys like Ron Simmons and The Rock, all the African American wrestlers. JYD was known for his headbutt, acted like a dog. JYD was huge in the 80s, huge. So I figured I'd put JYD on this list. Number 48, Tito Santana. A lot of people know about Tito Santana. He had a great feud with Greg Valentine. He's an Intercontinental Champion, Tag Team Champion. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Was really one of the first Mexican wrestlers that I really followed. So I figured I'd put Tito Santana on this list, along with all the accomplishments and his work ethic and just being a great wrestler. 49, I have X-Pac. X-Pac, you know, 1, 2, 3 Kid, you know how he started and he beat Razor Ramon on Raw. He was in the NWO, DX. He's held various titles over the years. So I felt that X-Pac definitely belonged on this list. Then next we have Superfly Jimmy Snuka. I put Snuka on this list just for all the keys that he meant to wrestling. Moments like when he jumped off the steel cage, first guy to jump off top of the steel cage with Don Morocco. When Piper hit him with the coconut. He's a Hall of Famer. He's a one of a kind. Jimmy Snuka definitely on the top 50 list. Then we go to 45. Ace Bob Orton. Ace Bob Orton, of course, is father of Randy Orton. He was a really good wrestler. He was instrumental in the first couple WrestleManias, always with Piper. Remember, he always had that cast on his arm. First couple WrestleManias, he was huge in the main events that led up to a lot of the feuds that went down there with the first WrestleMania. The Ortons are a wrestling family. Bob Orton's just a great guy, and I figured I'd put Bob Orton on my list as well. 44, Bruiser Brody. You don't know Bruiser Brody? He was a man's man, big, strong. The Berserker kind of tried to rip him off, rip his look off. Bruiser Brody's past, as you know, he got stabbed down in Puerto Rico. But nobody ever messed with Bruiser Brody. He was a monster. He was a beast, and he's definitely got to be on my list. Bruiser Brody. 43, we got the Big Show. Outside of the Undertaker, he's probably the most athletic big man that the sport has ever had. He's held every WWE title there is to hold. He can put him with anybody. He's a great guy. You know, we see the choke slam early. Now he's got the right hook, which I really like. I like the right hook. Big Show was in the NWO, left WCW into WWE, which I think really made his career what it should have been. 42. I know a lot of people probably have him higher on their list, but 42 I had Mick Foley. Mick Foley is a hardcore god. When he fell off the top of that cage against the Undertaker is one of the craziest scenes I've ever seen. I didn't have Mick Foley as high as my list as probably other people would, because I don't think he's all around sound wrestler. He's a hardcore god, probably the best hardcore wrestler of all time. He's a crazy bastard. 3-time WWE champ. Mick Foley's great. He's definitely on my top 50. On my list, he's here at 42. 41, have the AWA legend Nick Botwinkle. Many of y'all know Nick Botwinkle was the first real wrestler that acted like a professional bar era. He was AWA champion. I believe he lost it to Kurt Hennig. Just a real professional, a really great wrestler. So I put Nick Botwinkle on my list. Number 40, I have Kane. Ever since Glenn Jacobs took over the character of Kane, it's been nothing but great. He's held all the belts: WWE World Champ, Tag, Intercontinental, ECW. His feuds with The Undertaker were great. Team Hell No was hilarious. I mean, Royal Rumbles, he eliminates everybody, damn near. Kane will be in the WWE Hall of Fame one day, and I felt like I had to put Kane on my list. 39, I got Booker T. Booker T, you know, he's started out with the Harlem Heat. Worked his way up, had a TV belt, US belt, World Heavyweight belt about 5 times, 6 times, I think. Just a great, great athlete. Every match he was ever in was entertaining. I always thought Booker T was underrated, but Booker T is 39 on my list. $38 is another guy that will probably be higher on other people's list. And at number 38, I have Jeff Hardy. Jeff Hardy, phenomenal wrestler. I mean, the things he did, jumping off the top of everything, putting his body on the line. Those ladder matches he was in were great. The Hardy Boy tag team was great. We won Intercontinental belt, World belt, WWE belt. Jeff Hardy is a guy that I have a lot of respect for. He's creative, and he's definitely had to be on my top 50 list. Then at 37, I have RVD. RVD, Mr. Monday Night. You know what he did at ECW. I think he is the most underrated wrestler of all time. Uh, he made people really want to watch ECW when it was all hardcore. He was one of the guys that could really, really wrestle. I really liked the RVD style. Uh, he came to WWE, won the WWE title. I mean, he's got moves that nobody else does. Uh, and I'm really glad to see RVD coming back at the Money in the Bank pay-per-view. Uh, but yeah, he's 37 on my list. 36 on my list is Ron Simmons. Many of y'all know Ron Simmons was the first black world heavyweight champion when he beat Vader. Um, he's just a powerhouse, nice guy. He's held tag belts, the world heavyweight belt. His skits and acolytes were classic. He's in the WWE Hall of Fame. So I definitely had to put Ron Simmons on my list. 35, Double A Arn Anderson. Now, if you want to watch a perfect wrestling match, watch an Arn Anderson match. Arn Anderson can go, he can talk. You know, he's just a great, great wrestler. And I always thought that Ric Flair, well, I know Ric Flair got more props than Arn Anderson. Arn Anderson, work-wise, in my opinion, could outwork Ric Flair any day. That's why I put Arn Anderson on my list. Arn Anderson's in the WWE Hall of Fame, and he definitely deserves to be. Double A Arn Anderson. 34, I have Eddie Guerrero. Eddie Guerrero started out in WCW, you know, US champ, cruiserweight champ. He's in ECW, where he had incredible matches with Dean Malenko. Then he came to the WWE. Um, finally won the WWE title from Brock Lesnar. Unbelievable worker. I don't think he ever had a bad match. He's also in the WWE Hall of Fame. And he is one of the guys that I truly, truly miss in this business is Eddie Guerrero. Number 33, I have Bob Backlund. Bob Backlund was always kind of boring to me, but his accomplishments and his ring work speak for themselves. I liked when Bob Backlund had a feud with Bret Hart. I thought that shit was funny. So I had to put Bob Backlund on this list just for his all-around career, the man that he is. So 33, Bob Backlund. 32, Ravishing Rick Rude. Another one that left us way too soon. I love when Rick Rude first came to the WWF. He was Intercontinental Champion. His feuds with Jake the Snake and Warrior were classic. He carried Warrior. He left and went to WCW, won the world title. Remember, he came back and he was in DX. He's the only wrestler to ever be on Raw and Nitro on the same night. Another guy that left us way too soon. Had incredible ring work, and I thought should have been a WWE champion. And Ravishing Rick Rude. 31 on my list is another Funk, Terry Funk. Terry Funk's did it all, man. He was an ECW champ. He wrestled WWE, WCW, Japan. He could talk, he could go. He's one of a kind. He's definitely one of my favorite wrestlers of all time, in Terry Funk, and I always respected his work, his dedication, and he was a crazy bastard. Number 31, Terry Funk. Number 30, I'm going to go with the Iron Sheik. Um, I really love when they started with the Iron Sheik gimmick. When he took the belt from Backlund. The Hogan beat him. Vern Gagne actually wanted Sheik to break Hogan's leg, which was funny. But I always thought Iron Sheik was one of the, not only was he built, he could work, and he's one of the best heels of all time. I really respect Iron Sheik's work, and that's why Iron Sheik is so high on my list. Number 29, Owen Hart. Man, Owen Hart could go, man. Remember, he was the Blue Blazer first, then he came in as Owen Hart. And built a new foundation, the tag belts. I think he had every belt but the WWE belt. His promos are funny. He can almost work as good as Bret. He's another one that left us way too soon, and probably the most tragic moment in wrestling is when he passed away after he accidentally fell from the ceiling. But Owen Hart was a good guy, great wrestler. That's why he's so high on my list. Number 29. Number 28, Jake the Snake Roberts. We all know the bad things about Jake, but the good things about Jake is when he was on, he was on. He was a great wrestler. Some of the things he did would be like put the snake on Macho Man and all that stuff. Jake the Snake had a great early career. He kind of fell off, but I'm glad to see him being clean again. In his time, Jake the Snake was one of the best of all time, and that's why he's so high on my list at 28. Number 27 is the Honky Tonk Man. The Honky Tonk Man was a great gimmick for wrestling. He's the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. He could talk, he could work. He's one of those guys that should definitely be in the WWE Hall of Fame. And that's why Honky Tonk Man saw on my list, just because he worked his ass off. And he was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion in a time where all the wrestlers were pumped up and muscle bound. And he was able to get attention. And he was able to work really good. And it paid off for him being the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion of all time. Now, I know people aren't going to agree with me on this one, but this is just my opinion. At number 26, they have Triple H. I know a lot of people would have him higher, but Triple H was always a decent wrestler. But his greatness became political. When he married Stephanie, he became 30-time world champion or whatever, and CEO and all that. I think Triple H is a decent wrestler, but he's not a great wrestler. I'll put him on my list at number 26. Number 25, Rowdy Piper. Piper may be the best talker in the business ever. He was the first one to have his own. What am I looking for here? He had his own show, The Piper's Pit, where he busted Jimmy Snuka in the head with a coconut. He was instrumental in WrestleManias 1 and 2. Feud with Hogan was awesome. Without Piper, the Hogan thing wouldn't have worked. Then him going to WCW and finally winning the world title on top. Battling NWO. Piper had it all, and that's why he's number 25 on my list. Now this next one might surprise some people. Number 24, Big Papa Pump with Scott Steiner. I can remember when Scott Steiner was in the Steiner Brothers carrying the team. He was the first guy I ever seen do the Frankenstein. When he changed his look to the NWO, it was killer. I mean, he could work, he could talk. He was the baddest heel that I had seen at the time. I think he was underused. I think when he went back to WWE when he was Big Papa Pump, there's no reason why he wasn't WWE champion once or twice. No reason. And that's why Scott Steiner's so high on my list, because he's a real good worker, real good talker. He was just a mean, mad dude. Number 23, I have Kevin Nash. Remember Nash had the gimmicks in his WCW days, and he became the Bodyguard Diesel for Shawn Michaels. He's held the world titles many times, Intercontinental Tag. He was a big part of the New World Order. Nash just did it all in this business, and that's why he's so high on my list. Number 22, Ricky Steamboat. Ricky Steamboat just was born to be a wrestler, man. I mean, he could do it all. The drop, toe hold, I mean, everything. There's certain moves Ricky Steamboat does that only he can do. You know, and his battles with Flair, being a world champ, his battles in the WWE with Jake the Snake, Killer. There's a reason why Ricky Steamboat's in the WWE Hall of Fame. Ricky Steamboat is just a different wrestler, style of wrestler than any other guy I've seen. I also think Ricky Steamboat was ahead of his time, and that's why Ricky Steamboat's so high on my list. Number 21, Andre the Giant. Andre the Giant was the first big monster in professional wrestling. He was undefeated for like a decade or something crazy. He made guys what they were. He made Hogan in WrestleMania 3. He didn't have very many moves, but when you're that size, you really don't have to. But yeah, Andre the Giant, number 21 on my list. Now we're going to go into the top 20 on this list. Number 20 is Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar is just a monster. Just a monster. I love watching him wrestle. I remember when he was in OVW at Louisville. And I would go see him before he was ever anything. He was with Shelton Benjamin. They were the Minnesota Wrestling Crew, something like that. And I know then Brock Lesnar was going to be a star. I mean, he's held the world title, undisputed title, you know. And before it's over with, he will be one of the greatest of all time, and that is why he is so high on my list. Number 19, I have Chris Benoit. Chris Benoit could wrestle a lamppost and make it look good. Chris Benoit was a horseman. He was a U.S. champ in WrestleMania 20. I still remember like it was yesterday when he won the World Heavyweight belt. Chris Benoit is high on my list for his ring work, not for what he did outside the ring. I don't agree with what happened with his wife and kid, but as a wrestler, I think he's one of the best of all time, and that's why he's so high on my list. Number 18, I have Razor Ramon Scott Hall. When his guy was sober, he was one of the best ever. I mean, Scott Hall could work anybody. The ladder matches he had with Shawn Michaels. 1993 Royal Rumble match he had with Bret Hart. I mean, the NWO matches. It's the outsiders, the promos, all that. The bad guy, Razor Ramon. Definitely high on my list. And that's why he's 18 on my list. Number 17, I have Y2J Chris Jericho. I think Chris Jericho could carry a company by himself if he wanted to. Jericho can wrestle, he can talk, he's hilarious. He was the first to beat Stone Cold Steve Austin and The Rock on the same night to be Undisputed Champ. Chris Jericho's a workhorse. I love his style. He's definitely one of the best of all time. I probably could have put him even higher on this list, but I felt 17 was a good spot. Number 16. Number 16, Randy Orton. Randy Orton may be the most natural, gifted wrestler I've ever seen. Randy Orton he can wrestle, he can talk, he's got the character. I don't know what they're doing with him right now as a good guy, but they need to put him as a heel and put that belt back on him because he can carry that company. He's also another guy that I watched in my hometown of Louisville at OVW and knew he was going to be a star. I like the whole evolution thing. I just liked him better as a heel. But Randy Orton has got it all. And I think Randy Orton may be the best wrestler of all time before his career is over. And that's why he's so high on my list. Now, the next guy, a lot of people might not agree with me. He's number one on a lot of lists, but he's not number one on my list. At number 15, I have Shawn Michaels. Yes, Shawn Michaels has been in a lot of great matches. But the only reason Shawn Michaels gets hyped up so much is because he's Vince McMahon's puppet, the one that never left the company. There are some great matches that I like. He was never better than Bret Hart, ever. And that's why he's at 15. He just never really did nothing for me, man. Number 14, I have The Rock. Before The Rock went to start making movies, I thought for sure he would. I never thought he'd leave for movies. I thought he'd be the best wrestler of all time. He's the best talker of all time. He can wrestle anybody, anywhere, any style. I mean, I don't really have to say a whole lot about The Rock, because if you're a wrestling fan, you know he's had the WWE title numerous times, Intercontinental Tag, World. The Rock's awesome. That's why he's number 14 on my list. I wish he would stop making movies and come back to wrestling full time, though. Number 13 is Ric Flair. I know a lot of people think Flair is one of the best ever, but I have him down on my list because Flair was just boring to me. I mean, the dude had he just looked like a little blonde-haired bitch. I mean, he had a figure four leg lock he stole from Greg Valentine. Ric Flair just never did nothing to me, and I think he's highly overrated. He's lucky to even be that high on my list. I know he's held the world belt forever and all that, but Ric Flair's 13 on my list. Number 12 on my list is Jerry the King Lawler. If you're from the Kentucky, Tennessee area like I am, you know Jerry Lawler was the man back in the day. Jerry Lawler has worked and wrestled anybody that has ever came through the business, came through Memphis or Louisville. I think Jerry Lawler was just great. I know he's a commentator now, and a lot of you young fans don't know much about him, but get on YouTube and look up some of his old stuff with Bill Dundee, Dutch Mantel. I love the angles he had with Bret Hart. Jerry Lawler's definitely up there. That's why he's number 12 on my list. Number 11, I have the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes. The most charismatic man in the business. Rhodes could talk, he could wrestle. He knew the business in and out. Even when he went up to WWE and they put them polka dots on him, man, he made it work. Dusty Rhodes has held the NWA title when it meant something. You know, Dusty Rhodes, definitely on my list. And I'll always have high regards for Dusty Rhodes and a lot of respect for Dusty Rhodes. Dusty Rhodes is number 11 on my list. Now we're down into the top 10. Number 10 on my list is Bruno Sammartino. If you know, Bruno Sammartino was champion for like 20 years. No, I don't know, like 8 years. That speaks for itself on how well respected he was in the business. I got to learn a lot about him at this year's WWE Hall of Fame, and he definitely belongs in the top 10. Bruno Sammartino, number 10. Number 9, I have Kurt Angle. Anybody that's ever seen Kurt Angle work knows he's in my top 10. I can watch Kurt Angle wrestle anybody. He will make anybody look good. He's held any belt that anybody could do. There is the whole. His matches with Brock Lesnar were just awesome. I really think Kurt Angle will be one of the best ever to step in the wrestling ring. That's why he's so high up on my list. Number 8, I have Sting. Sting can work with anybody. His resume speaks for itself. He's a world champ several times, tag champ, U.S. champ. Sting can go. He's still going today. When he did the Crow angle, that was killer when they were fighting the NWO. If you were an NWO fan, you even had to go for Sting. But, yeah, I really wish Sting would go to WWE and fight Undertaker at WrestleMania, but I know that'll never happen. Yeah, Sting's high up on my list. Number 7, I have the cock of the walk, Harley Race. Harley Race was the first wrestler I ever seen with tats. Harley Race was a bad motherfucker, man. 70s and the 80s. The match he had at Starrcade with Ric Flair was a classic. I'd really like to get out and meet Harley Race sometime. Even when Harley Race was on the downslide of his career, the WWF made him the king, which was cool. I really like Harley Race though. I have a lot of respect for Harley Race, and that's why he's so high on my list at number 7. Number 6. Oh yeah, the Macho Man Randy Savage. I had him put him at number 6. Rest in peace to the great Macho Man. Macho Man could do it all. Macho Man could talk. He could wrestle with anybody. He had the flying elbow drop. I mean, he could snap into a Slim Jim. Whatever you want a Macho Man to do, he would do it. I mean, he was WWE champion, Intercontinental champion, tag champion. He was in the NWO. It's sad to see him that he never got to come back to the WWE. Macho Man was a huge player in the first few WrestleManias. And I think when Macho Man turned heel against Hogan, I think he really carried Hogan, believe it or not. I think he carried Hawk. He made Hawk look better than what Hawk was. And he'll forever be missed. Uh, the Macho Man Randy Savage, we love you for listening to getting the WWE Hall of Fame, bro. Top 5, here we go. Number 5, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect was just perfect, duh. I mean, everything he did in the ring was great. He could talk. I mean, he's another one of those guys that could wrestle a mattress and it would look good, you know. Mr. Perfect left us way too soon. As you know, he beat Nick Bockwinkel for the AWA Championship. He was the Intercontinental Champ. He was in WCW. He was a U.S. Champ. He was in the NWO. He was in the West Texas Rednecks. Rap is crap, you know. He's another one that left us way too soon. It will always be missed. But it's pretty cool to see his son in the business. It's pretty cool to see his son win the Intercontinental belt on Father's Day and dedicate it to his father, Mr. Perfect. Mr. Perfect is on my list because, hey, he's absolutely perfect. Number 4. Number 4 on my list is The Undertaker. Now, you want to talk about somebody with longevity. And the day he stepped into the WWE, I mean, ever since that day, he's just been on top. There's never been a presence like him. There's never been a gimmick like him. I mean, for God's sakes, he's 500-0 at WrestleMania, whatever the hell it is. Undertaker had that look. He had that look in the early 90s. He could have worked good in the early 90s, which he did. He worked good in the Attitude Era, which he did. He worked good when he was American Badass. He worked good now, you know, with the Mohawk. He's respected by all the guys in the business because he keeps it real. I really, really am a big, huge fan of Undertaker. That's why he's number 4 on my list. And rest in peace to Paul Bearer. Number 3 on my list. The man that made the money in this business in the 80s, Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan is number 3 on my list because he is the man that made the WrestleMania things work. He's held every belt there is to hold, from the say your prayers and take your vitamins in the 80s when that was believable. And then the day he shocked the wrestling world and went to the NWO, if that's not the best thing that ever happened to wrestling, I don't know what is. Even the thing about Hulk Hogan, he wasn't the greatest wrestler in the world, but he could entertain your ass. And I could go ask Daisy down the street, 83-year-old Daisy, and I bet you she knows who Hulk Hogan is. Because everybody knows who Hulk Hogan is. Hulk Hogan was great, and I don't think there'll ever be an entertainer in this business like Hulk Hogan again. We're down to 2. Number 2. Stone Cold Steve Austin. Steve Austin. I remember when he was Stunning Steve in WCW. I always thought he'd be a decent wrestler. Was U.S. champ, tag champ, Hollywood Blondes. WCW let his contract go. He went to ECW. Paul Lee trained him on some promos. He went to WWE, and he forever changed the WWE. He created the Attitude Era. He was drinking beer, flipping fingers, stunning people, whooping the boss. He was doing it all. He was world champion. He broke his neck, came back from that like it wasn't nothing. He is truly the toughest son of a bitch that pro wrestling has ever seen. Steve Austin has made more money for the WWE than any wrestler ever. And it was sad to see Austin have to retire early. But the matches he had with The Rock and Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, they all brought money to the table. Stone Cold Steve Austin is number 2, close number 1. And my number 1 guy on my top 50 list, I'll let y'all think for a minute and see if I can guess who it is. I like my cigar. The number 1 guy on my list is the best there is, the best there was, and the best there ever will be, Bret the Hitman Hart. Bret the Hitman Hart is the greatest wrestler of all time simply because he don't need a microphone. He can tell a story with his wrestling moves, with his wrestling matches. He is technically sound. He can out-wrestle anybody in the building on any night. The way Vince did him was bullshit. Shawn Michaels couldn't even clean Bret Hart's boots. Bret Hart is the best wrestler ever. Hands down. Hands down. When the company was almost bankrupt, Bret Hart carried that company while Shawn Michaels was somewhere getting beat up or doing some dumb shit, man. Bret Hart is the best wrestler of all time. He's number 1 on my list. And I know a lot of y'all might not agree with me, but most of y'all don't agree with me or Shawn Michaels fans. But that's my top 50 superstars of all time. There were a couple guys that weren't on my list, and I didn't think they deserved to be on my list, like John Cena and Edge. Yeah, they ain't on my list. You can watch it again. They I'm lying. But like I always say, from Inside Wrestling Truth, get your money and pay your bills. Peace.